The announcement a couple of days ago from Postbank that the SASSA Gold Cards will remain valid until further notice. And the new black card rollout has been temporarily paused, which means both the gold and black cards remain active for now. Thami Cele is the Chief Commercial Officer at Postbank and joins us now on the phone. Thami, good morning. Thank you very much for making yourself available.
Good morning, John. Thank you, and good morning to the listeners as well.
Is this an open-ended extension?
As we say, John, until further notice, I think that's the key thing. A key message is that both cards will continue to work, as I think we've stated, and that's the most important message that the gold card holders must remain with and take away. For now, I think we are stating that, and until further notice. We certainly will resume the replacement of these cards, in the near future. We will communicate that.
In the near future. So you do see this as a relatively short, temporary pause in the issuance?
Yes, it is a short-term pause. Short-term until we've concluded, our engagement. And planning. So we certainly do see it as not a long-term outcome. This is the short-term picture.
Okay, and you're not doing anything at the moment. Your SASSA payment, which is due in early May, if you use a gold card to access those funds, you will continue to do so. If you've already got a black card, you use that. I know I'm pressing you, and you probably don't have an answer, or maybe you have an answer that you are not able to communicate. But do you see the same situation at the beginning of June, and for the July payouts, and for the August payouts?
Yeah. So I think, John, what's quite important is that I think as we've been communicating with the public well ahead of time, as we had done this communication now, just to take away the anxiety. As soon as we are saying now this further notice is ending, I think we'll be the first ones to also directly communicate with the public. I think what needs to be taken for now is that for May and most likely for June as well, that these cards do continue until we communicate otherwise. There's the other piece, John, that I just want to make sure it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Is that for beneficiaries that have already have the black card, and if you happen to have lost your card, you can get a black card replacement right now at the same site that you would have gotten your card, or any other site for that matter. The second key message, is around the PIN, because we know that sometimes, customers can forget their PIN. They can reset their PIN if they actually have forgotten it. So that's the most important thing. Outside of these alternatives, we certainly do continue to do registration for cardless payments, to beneficiaries as well.
And the reason for the change from SASSA Gold to Postbank Black was primarily, we have been told, around security issues with the gold card, which would be absent with the black card. So this constant delay, and it has now been a process in train for many months. What about the security risks that are the supposed reason for the changeover?
So John, I think the way we need to look at the security piece, which is rightfully you stated, it's a security upgrade that we generally see in any bank. When you get your new card, when it has expired, that always will come with upgraded security. And that does not mean that the card that you might be holding, is suddenly susceptible to being defrauded, for any other than, as it generally would happen with any sort of bank card. So now I think the point being, until we communicate that we are now resuming to replace the rest of the other cards, for now I think let's allow the beneficiaries to keep their gold card until further notice. So that security is really just because there's additional new chips that gets issued with a new card, and that generally comes with a better security, behind it. I think looking at it the other way, that says there's a security deficiency on the card. I don't necessarily think that is a significantly helpful item for the beneficiary. I think more than important is that we haven't had, any fraud or security breach on these cards. That is what really noting.
Okay. And then two last questions. One of which, the second of which flows from the first. How many SASSA grant recipients, still have the gold card, so we get a sense of the scale of the transition process that still needs to be completed? And what are you going to do once you reinstitute a deadline to make it easier for many recipients to do the transition, than has unfortunately been the case in many parts of the country up until now?
Yeah. So firstly, it's to appreciate the ones that we had already converted. I think over 1.5 million of them already have their black cards. We certainly do have just over 700,000 that still needs to be converted, who still hold this gold card. And those ones, I think the plan, as you said, will certainly be communicated in due course around, what to be done. But for now, I think everybody must just focus on the fact that these cards are going to continue to work. We have not, not kept this promise in the last couple of months that we have been on this journey. We have committed to everybody that nobody will be left behind, and this is still a commitment that we're making.
Yeah, that might be enough for you. It's not enough for me. I want to know what you're going to do to make it easier for people, to make the queues shorter, the waiting times less onerous on often elderly and not particularly well people, because the number of sob stories and genuine sob stories that I've heard from elderly people, the length of time they waited in queues, the number of people who were there to serve them, and those people might well have been working very diligently and very, very politely and with great civil courtesy and all of that, but people were in very long queues. As surely part of your planning must be for the 700,000 transitions that are left, how do we make it easier for them than it has been for some of the 1.5 million that have already transitioned?
And that's a fair question and a fair insistence on it, John. So a quick one on that is, if you notice, just before we stopped issuing a new card, temporarily as we communicated, we were already starting to see queues reducing dramatically. And the reason for that is because of the investments in those sites that we actually had, and also our investment in the roving or the moving mobile sites, so where we move into hotspots, where we feel that there is a bit of capacity that needs to be put in, including having more consultants or sellers in each site, so especially particularly in the Western Cape, I think, because it was a challenging one for us. And the investment really paid off because the queues started to actually drop, that everyone that came was able to be replace the card. And we're quite proud that we will maintain that particular momentum. There is no regress that we are going to create. As we start resuming, as you know, we still kept the same sites that we actually have had.
Thami Cele, thank you very much for talking to us this morning, the Chief Commercial Officer of Postbank.